Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 126, and that's show a review all the comics I read this week in one show. So we go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week, and today I have 17 comics to read, review. I already read them, but anyways, so I have 17 comics to review, and that's kind of an average week. I've been having very large weeks in recent weeks, so it's kind of cool to go back to like 17 books. But let's get started. What was worst pick of the week? Number 17. And that is Fathom Blue, issue 6. This is a book that I haven't been really enjoying, but I really liked the first issue, so I wanted to finish out the miniseries. This is actually the last issue of the miniseries, so I'm like, alright, I'll finish it up. And I thought the artwork was very sloppy. The story, okay. In the end of the issue, we see that the Blue want to go to the surface and like kind of mix with the land people, which is what I wanted with this series. I was like, it was kind of cool how they introduced the characters, at least the main characters, that they were already in civilization, and one was a lawyer, so one just like went to school, and they were already mixing into the land area and not just the Blues. So I thought that's what they were like trying to do. So I guess now I have to pick up the first issue of that series, but I wasn't too impressed with this miniseries, and I gave this 1.5 stars. Again, I thought the artwork was pretty sloppy and the story was very sloppy too, or at least uninteresting. So that's number 17. I gave that 1.5 stars. Moving on to number 16, which I want to see what grade I gave it. Okay. Number 16, I think people are going to be surprised by, but if you know me, you probably won't be surprised by, and that's Daredevil issue 2. I'm still going to give this a try. I'm going to read the next issue. I want to see what happened to Kristen McDuffie, so that's kind of why I want to see where the series goes. And also, I've been reading Daredevil for a couple of years now with Wade's run, and obviously the series is definitely more based on older Daredevil, definitely more based on Frank Miller's Daredevil, is a lot darker. You can even see that in the artwork, and I like the artwork. I just can't get into the story because of the artwork, because it's so dark. And most of this issue is just showing how you should be afraid of this 10-finger guy, whatever his name is. I think his name is 10 Fingers. And that, Daredevil's new sidekick is working for 10 Fingers, and that's kind of what's going on. You see a bit more of Daredevil's Mark Wade's life. You see more of Matt Murdock's life a bit, and seeing him as a lawyer, being the DA, and like how that's how that's connecting to obviously his Daredevil life, because it always has to. And that's what's going on, and I was just kind of bored with it. I didn't feel attached to any of the stories, and I still want to learn more about the sidekick. We did in the Marvel .1 whatever book it was, and I liked that story. That's why I was actually interested in Daredevil. And then I read these 2 issues, and I don't think we know enough about the sidekick yet to really care about his character and his betrayal. I think they should have built up his character before you said, yeah, he's actually betraying Daredevil. Unless he'll switch sides in the middle and say, oh, I've been working with 12 Fingers, or whatever his name is, for a while, but let's team up. I like his abilities with invisibility. I thought that was kind of cool. But again, I definitely need more of an attachment here, because there's nothing here from me, right now. So Daredevil issue 2 gets 2.5 stars, and that's number 16. Number 15, I think you guys are going to be really surprised by how low this one is, and that is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 5. I just was not really interested in this issue because it focused more on the Zodiac people, and I feel the Zodiac story is really cheesy so far. Unless they're trying to make it cheesy on purpose, which it's definitely plausible that they will be doing that. I didn't see that here, and it's Spider-Man trying to deal with them, and most of the issue is about that, and I just do not care about these Zodiac people, and I guess that's the biggest reason why I didn't love this issue. So, The Amazing Spider-Man issue 5 gets 2.5 stars for me, and that's number 15. Alright, moving on to number 14, and that is Deathstroke issue 13, which, yes, I switched to reading digitally because I don't think it's kind of worth getting printed anymore, you know, save space. But, yeah, I've been reading Deathstroke for, obviously, a while, and I liked the first arc with, you know, because Tony S. Daniel was doing the artwork, and I think his artwork's gorgeous. And not saying that the artwork's bad here, it's definitely not. It's just comparing it to Daniel's old art. It's like, oh, I want Tony S. Daniel back. And I think it's a different person writing it now, but it's still just kind of this same vibe of oh, well, you know, to sell the book, we need as many big names in this book as possible. So instead of it being Deathstroke story, it feels like more of a Suicide Squad story. Because you have Amanda Waller, you have Harley Quinn betraying Deathstroke, so a lot of betrayals here, which is like a Suicide Squad issue. And I did not buy Suicide Squad. I'm buying Deathstroke to read more about Deathstroke. And all you get is his interior monologue. And that's good, but it's his book, which have more of his story. And yes, you have the story with his daughter, who kidnapped his daughter. But how long has this story been going on with Jericho and Rose and not really doing much with it? So I hope they can progress the story a bit more, making it more of a Deathstroke book than a Suicide Squad book. But we will see. I'll still be reading it digitally because I'm invested enough in that. I want to see what happens to Rose. So I gave that 2.5 stars. And that was number 14, I think. Yes. So moving on to number 13, which is Jupiter Circle, Volume 2, Issue 2. I have not been totally impressed with Jupiter Circle lately. I just feel like it's not really going anywhere, and they're just trying to, I guess, prolong until we get Jupiter Legacy Volume 2, which I think is the better and most more interesting story is Jupiter Legacy compared to Jupiter Circle. I don't really think we needed a Volume 2. It just feels very repetitive of the first volume. There's not really a big progression of story. It's more like one-shot stories, I feel. You get to learn a little bit about the characters, but not enough to care about them. It's like, in the end, it's cool. It's really cool to see how they relate to society, and you see that these heroes, they're relating it to the LA riots, and you're seeing that. I thought that was really interesting. But the characters themselves could be a lot more interesting, and I just haven't had that in a while with this series, and I think that's the part that needs to improve. More of a continuous story than something that feels like, alright, it progressed the story a little bit here, but we're going to totally do something different in the next issue. But yeah, like I said, I like Legacy a bit more, and I think Circle definitely needs to pick up. It kind of proved that it needed a Volume 2, because at this point, I don't think it really did. So, Jupiter Circle Issue 2, Volume 2 gets 2.5 stars. But the artwork is very well done. I do like the clean artwork. That's number 13. Number 12, I was kind of upset to see this so low because it was higher last week. And that was Batman and Robin Eternal, issue 12. So issue 12 is number 12. I thought this was very much an exposition issue where it's what's her name? The one who's helping out Dick and Harper going into their minds, and it's very exposition of saying, hey, this is who the mother is, Batman kind of betrayed you, we're saying it's true right now, we'll find out if it's true and why Mother did this, and that's pretty much the issue. And also, I guess, describing a bit more about Cassandra and why she acts the way she does, which obviously we got a lot more in last issue than we did this issue, but yeah, like I said, overall, it's very much an exposition issue. Artwork's okay. I think the faces could be a little bit better, but I like the coloring. I think that works for it. So yeah, overall, I give it 3 stars. I thought it was an okay issue with a lot of talking in this issue and exposition. They should have really showed us more than talked about it. It's a bit. It wasn't a filler issue because there's a lot revealed here, but I thought they could have done it in a better manner. Alright, so moving on to number 11, which is a book that was also higher last time it came out, and I was a bit disappointed with issue 2, and that was Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur issue 2. I felt like this issue was very much let's run around. I thought this issue would be more about the relationship between Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur to like them more, but I liked the first issue a lot more. I thought you learned a lot about Lunella, and you didn't really learn a lot about anything here. It's just them running away from something, and Moon Girl, Lunella saying, hey, I need to get home for dinner. Bye. And then we get to see those monkeys from the Devil Dinosaur's world kidnap Lunella in the end of the issue. So I guess that's fun. I gotta say that the part I definitely had most fun with was the part I did not like in last issue, which was the monkey people, the cavemen people. I thought were the most interesting. They're stealing people's clothes from New York. They're stealing stuff from like police officers to pretend to be police officers. I thought they definitely had the most fun story, and also they're learning English. I thought that was definitely the most interesting. But I thought I would like the Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl relationship a bit more, but towards the end you kind of get like the cutesiness of their relationship, where you see Devil Dinosaur looking for Lunella and said, "Oh, why did you run away from me?" So I thought that was cute, but most of the issue I felt like dragged a lot, and I don't think we needed a whole issue of them running and Lunella kind of, I don't want to say bitching, but she kind of was. She was just like, drop me down, and she was like showing how smart she was, and like, well, we kind of know how smart you are. So I just wanted more of the relationship and learning more about the characters a bit more. So yeah, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur issue 2 gets 3 stars. I thought it was an okay issue, but still good artwork though. Alright, so now we're up to number 10, which is Astonishing Ant Man issue 3. And I thought this was a pretty good issue. I actually gave it 3.5 stars. It was very close to 3 stars, but the artwork is definitely great. I love the artwork and the style of art for the series. So that's why I kicked it up to a 3.5 stars. But it's not a filler issue because you definitely get more information. You get Scott having more of a mission because of Captain America. But it's also just like a kind of a plain team-up issue, and I'm not a huge Captain America fan, so I didn't really care for it that much, or even a big Sam Wilson fan. But I guess it's cool for people that like both Sam Wilson the series and Ant-Man the series, because Nick Spencer writes both series, so if you like both, you kind of get a good mishmash of both of them. But I didn't love this issue as much. I wanted it to focus more on Scott, and you kind of get the same things of like, oh, well, I'm kind of a bad person, and, I kind of deserve that all people shut me out. So it's just like, it's Scott, playing that card again and being all down on the dumps, and I want to see a bit more from Ant-Man. I liked last issue a bit more. I thought the team up for that issue was a bit more entertaining, and but it's still cool. Again, if you like these two characters, you'll like it. You get more information of things that there's this one group of people that have a new henchman app, and it's actually, I think it was, who was it? It was one of the villains, that they have new henchman apps, so multiple people are trying to make this app, so now there's competition, and I think that'll be interesting to see. But again, I think the art really pushed it to 3.5 stars, but it's not a bad issue, but didn't really blow my mind. So Astonishing Ant-Man issue 3 gets 3.5 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which I'm glad to see this much higher than the first 2 issues, and now it's Tales of Terror Volume 2, Issue 3. I thought this was a good issue. It's about this girl who's kind of nerdy. She works at this morgue, who has this roommate that's a bit more popular, and she, the popular girl, goes on an online dating site, and she tells the nerdy girl, hey, I'm going to like a party or whatever, can you just talk to this guy? And she does, and she starts falling in love with this guy. So they get in the fight, the 2 roommates, and then they make up, and these bugs go into their room. So the pretty roommate, the more popular roommate, she gets her face eaten up, and she'll never be the same. And then we find out that the person that the nerdy girl was working with at the morgue was the guy she was talking to online, and he wanted to kill these girls. So that was the big horror story, and I thought it was pretty interesting. The artwork was pretty well done too, and I thought this went back to the roots of what Volume 1 had a bit more that I enjoyed. And I thought it was a really good twist in the end with the mortician, which you want with a good horror story. So I gave that 3.5 stars, and that was number 9. Moving on to number 8, and that is Extraordinary X-Men, issue 4. This definitely had some interesting things happen. We finally get to see the X-Men come together, which is something I've been waiting for. I will say that it did feel a bit cluttered, this issue, especially with the artwork. There are some scenes that I wish I could see more of the action, but I just felt like it was a little cluttered, and also I didn't really like the orange backgrounds. It was kind of hard to focus there. So I think some of the action scenes could have been a bit better, but I definitely like the Ileana and Colossus scenes. I'm really enjoying their story, and the plot got a bit more interesting with Inhuman and mutants hybrid thing going on with Dr. Sinister. And then in the end, you have this cliffhanger where I'm like, do I like it? Do I think it's ridiculous? I don't know. So I guess I'll find out in the next issue. But that Cyclops is alive, and he is half Inhuman and half mutant. So I do not know what direction they're going with that, and I don't know if it's interesting or if it's ridiculous. Like I said, it could become interesting, but at the same time, when you see that panel, I'm like, I don't know how to feel. I like the cliffhanger, I guess, and I like that the team worked together a bit more. I thought that was definitely a strength, and I like that the plot's getting a bit more interesting. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Still not totally grabbing me as a series, still not blowing my mind, but it's getting a little bit better. So Extraordinary X-Men issue 4 gets 3.5 stars. Alright, so we're moving on to number 7. Sorry, which is Venus issue 1. I thought this issue was pretty interesting. I bought it because it was advertised as The Martian, which I really love that movie, and Lost put together. So I liked it. It's not, I will say the thing I didn't like about it is that the one thing I liked about The Martian so much is how optimistic Matt Damon's character was. In here, I feel like they could do a little bit better with characterization. I think the captain was done well here, but the other characters, like, you know who they are, but I want to like them a bit more. So, but the artwork is really well done. Really like the art style here. I think it fits the tone well. And it's seeing these crew members. It's not just one person by themselves, but these crew members search Venus and try to be helped. You know, their ship crash lands on Venus. They really could die right now, and the captain has to make some last-minute decisions. And they go into, I guess, one of the bases that are on Venus that they put there before they made the mission, and they find this robot thing. So that will be interesting. So I thought this is an okay issue. Again, I wanted to like this issue a bit more, but I think they need to do some better characterization here. But the story is very interesting, and the world they're building is interesting. And I like the mission stuff they're doing. That's what it felt like with The Martian, where they went back and forth. It's like, we have to go here. No, we have to go here to survive. And it's cool to see the different atmospheres. So the setting is very interesting. So I give Venus issue 1 3.5 stars, and I'll definitely be picking up the rest of the miniseries. It definitely got me interested. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 6, which is Dark Knight 3, issue 2. And like I said in my previous review, when I reviewed issue 1, I've never read book 1 of Dark Knight or book 2, but I know enough about it. Obviously, as a comic book fan, I know what happens in it, and I like this issue, though. I really like Carrie Kelly and, you know, her not telling everyone what happened to Bruce Wayne. And it makes it seem like he's dead, but in the end of the issue, he's not. And my favorite part of this issue is the dialogue. I thought Carrie Kelly had some great dialogue. I like kind of how sinister she looked throughout the issue. The part I didn't like as much, but still is strong, is the Kandor stuff with Adam. I was going to say Adam Eve, sorry. With Adam, totally different universe. With Adam and the Wonder Woman stuff, I like, but I kind of hate how harsh she is, and I know it's just the universe, but I'm like, I'm not used to this. But yeah, I'm interested in her relationship with Lara, though, with her daughter. I thought that was cool. But yeah, overall, I gave it 3.5 stars. Again, I'm not totally engrossed in the universe, but there's some interesting dialogue and definitely some interesting story going on here. So, Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, issue 2, gets 3.5 stars, and that is number 6. So now we're moving on to our top 5 here. So number 5 is Darth Vader, issue 14. I've been really waiting for this book. I've been excited for this book because we finally get to see Leia and Darth Vader face to face. And I think they definitely have a good moment here where they do go face to face, and Leia's like, oh my god, I'm screwed. Where do I go? And it seems like she uses the Force. I don't know. It kind of seemed that way. So she's looking around. She's like, oh my god, what am I going to do? This is Darth Vader. And Darth Vader says, "Oh, you think you're gonna ambush me and that's gonna help?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "You have such a diseased mind that you see these things." And I think it really was Leia under pressure using the Force, making him see that ambush. So I thought that was a really cool moment. I really like the artwork and the eye expression there too. I mean, artwork here is just gorgeous too. I will say I think the coloring's still a bit dark, but I think it works for the title. The Luke and Han stuff is pretty cool too. There are some characters I'm not so familiar with, so the cliffhanger I knew was like, hey, it's another Jedi, but I didn't really know who this character was, so it wasn't as powerful for me, but I'm still interested in it. And then there's this dark furred, like kind of looking Chewbacca thing, and I haven't been reading Darth Vader until now, so maybe that's why also, but still I thought there were some really good moments here, and I really liked Darth Vader and Leia's moments, and it definitely took up a lot of the issue, which is great. And I gave Darth Vader issue 14 4 stars. I thought it was a very solid issue, and I can't wait to see where Vader Down goes after this. Alright, so moving on to number 4, which is Titans Hunt, issue 3. This is, I think, the highest it's been. This is definitely my favorite issue of Titans Hunt so far, because we definitely get to see the characters interact a bit more, and seeing them say, hey, I think I know you, but I don't really know how. And then you see this threat in the end of the issue that they're all hearing this loud sound, and Mal actually falls down in front of his whole band there, or his whole chorus. And now it's everyone worrying about him, and I'm really interested to see why they're hearing this sound, and of course we know why they're connected, but why DC is going to say they're connected, and then you have the little hint of Teen Titans, so I really like this issue. Again, it was great to see them all interacting a bit more. I guess the weaker part of this issue was Roy Harper's story. I felt like that could have been connected a bit more. I'm also excited to see Hawk and Dove. That's going to be cool to see. And again, a little nitpick, I think the artwork could have been a little bit better. It's good artwork, but I think it's a bit on the average side. Nothing that's like blowing my mind with the artwork. But yeah, Titans Hunt issue 3 gets 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Spider-Woman issue 2. I like this issue a lot more than I thought I would, because I didn't really like the cliffhanger from last issue. I'm like, oh, you know, how many times have we seen this? But I liked how Jessica dealt with it. It's Jessica, you know, taking charge, her doing this, like, cool yoga fighting style to try to defeat some Skrulls, and her trying to get to her best friend saying, hey, we got a situation here, what do we gotta do? But her also taking command and talking to the other pregnant woman to try to deal with the Skrull situation. And now we find out in the end of the issue that Carol can't get to Jessica because she's in a black hole. So how are they going to get out of this situation, I don't know. But I thought the humor was really well done in this issue, where, especially the first, like, opening scene, where we see Jessica just being so impatient. Like, what do I do? Like, I want to, you know, keep my baby safe. And the baby's kicking, saying, hey, Jess, Mom, come on, you gotta do something. He's like, I know, but what am I supposed to do? So I thought that was a really fun moment, and there's a lot of those fun moments throughout the issues. So this was a lot better than I expected it to be with the cliffhanger, and it had another great cliffhanger in this issue. So Spider-Woman issue 2 gets 4 stars. I thought it was a solid issue. Alright, moving on to number 2. Now this has been in my top 5 a lot and been high on the list a lot. Or at least in the past two months, I think it's been getting a lot better. And that is Outcast issue 14. First of all, artwork's gorgeous. I love the tiny beats they take, and they continue to take them in this issue. I like how dark it is. I think it fits the style of the book. And here we see Kyle and his sister, which I keep calling him Mark. I did not know for 14 issues I kept calling him Mark. Just noticed that, but his name is Kyle. Don't ask. Anyways, so we see that Kyle, and definitely the aftermath of Kyle and his sister dealing with her being possessed and her not really knowing what's going on. Her husband has been taken to the hospital. We don't even know what's going to happen to him, and it's Megan, the sister, trying to deal with all this, and then she sees that her daughter's missing, and we know that the devil took the daughter. So now we see the priest and the devil fighting, and so now the priest is in jail. We see Kyle's sister. She has to, Kyle's sister, she has to go to the hospital and see what happened to her husband, and it's Kyle watching over his niece, but saying, well, I gotta go because what's going on with the priest. So I don't love the way it's ending. I think the reason I've been liking this story, or this side of the story so much, is because it's finally bringing other people besides him and the priest, because I don't think they have really great chemistry. And I'm sure it's on purpose, but it's not as interesting when it's just them interacting. It's kind of cool when you see him and his sister interacting also. I think she adds a lot of element to the story, and her family adds a lot of good elements. And obviously his wife and his child, but we're not going to see that right now. But yeah, it seems like it's going to take a few issues to see Kyle's sister's story again, and I think that's the most interesting part here. But still a very solid issue, and I think it was a good aftermath issue with a great issue from issue 13. So I gave that 4 stars, and that is number 2. So now we're moving on to number 1. And I will say this week, sadly, nothing past 4.5 stars. Even though I felt like there was a lot of good, solid books, there wasn't anything that amazed me this week. So that's just, I guess, a disclaimer before I get to pick of the week. But still a very good issue, and something I enjoyed most this week, which was Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat, issue 1. And this is a book I've been really looking forward to for a while, even before the Jessica Jones TV series, and you know, I really liked this story because I thought it was really new reader friendly, but it also stayed true to its roots. You know, you definitely deal with the story of the Patsy Walker romance comics in the 1940s, and then her Hellcat life. So you see characters that are from the romance comics that are now definitely modernized in 2015. And then Hetty, her arch nemesis slash frenemy, might be coming into the story very soon also, with her reprinting the Patsy Walker comics. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see, and now everyone's noticing her a bit more. And it's also Patsy coming up with the idea of doing a super temp job because of a new friend she made, Ian, who doesn't really know what to do with his powers. He wants to get a job, he wants to use his powers, but he doesn't really want to be a superhero or supervillain. So Hellcat's like, yeah, let me help these people. And now she's also going to work retail, which is going to be fun to see in New York City. So, yeah, overall, I really like this issue because I think it brought the old and the new so well. Really like the secondary characters here, too. I thought they introduced Ian well. They brought She-Hulk in well here too. You didn't have to read the She-Hulk series. You understand what was going on in the story. And Patsy was great. You know, Patsy was awesome. She's such a great lead here. And I think it's such a fun book. And that's what I enjoyed about it. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And I gave this pick of the week. I gave it 4 stars. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic and Comic Frontline. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there's links from my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And this is Comic and episode 126. Let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week and your worst pick of the week and everything in between. And I will see you guys next week. See you guys later. Bye.